So this goes back to 2016 when me and my family went to the UK, and my dad took us there because he was doing his PhD. So I remember first day at school when I went there with my dad, they gave me 3 exams, right? Or 3 tests, let's say, to determine which class I'm supposed to be in. The first one was an exam, like a maths test, and the second one was an English test, and the third one was basically general questions. So in the last one, the general question test there was a question that that said something along the lines of, what are your future goals, or what do you want to do in the future, or something like, what are your dreams? And so it was listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I thought about it for like 5 minutes, and then I started writing, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And why am I mentioning this is because, alhamdulillah, I've achieved every point that I've wrote. And I'd like to share it with you. Thank you. So the first one is, I want to get over 90% in high school. Bear in mind, I'm not an A-star student. I've never actually achieved 90% in my life, except in my last year, because I've worked hard. And why did I want to achieve this? It's because of the second point. I want to come back to the UK with a scholarship. I was in 11th grade at that time, and I really liked the UK when I was there. So I thought, why not give it a chance and come back and study there? And so I went back to the UK, and I wrote something like, I want to study something in IT. Alhamdulillah, I studied computer science. And the fourth one, which is weird enough, I was at 11th grade. I didn't know that I'm going to do this, but I want to do skydiving. So when I wrote this, my teacher told me, you're so brave. I said, obviously, yani. It's not, and then the fourth one was actually, it just happened this year. It's weird enough because it feels like this is really staged, but it's actually true. Yani. The fourth one was, I want to work in a technology firm in Muscat, which is, I'm in Rihal now, which is the final goal that I wrote. But did I actually know that I'm gonna do these? Obviously not. I was still a teenager. But what do you take from this? Is it because I want to show off? Maybe a little bit, yani. But the thing is, I want to say is, write down your goals, right? So writing down your goals is one of the main reasons of achieving them. There was a study that happened at the Dominican University in California, and it was led by Dr. Gail Matthews, on nearly 270 participants. And what did it show? It showed that you're more likely to achieve your goals if you write them by 43%. So why does that happen? Why is it when you write your goals, you're actually more likely to achieve them? We need to ask ourselves this question. What does writing do for our brain? Does anyone know?
You can take it seriously.
Okay, that's a nice answer.
It helps instill the point in you.
That's good. And so, yeah, they are actually correct. Yani. I've been trying to pronounce this word forever. Neurophysiologists call it a generation effect phenomenon. It is a phenomenon that has been studied for ages, and it has an extensive research if you want to actually look it up. What it basically entails is that when the human mind generates something or generates an information, he's more likely to remember it in the future, more than just reading or listening to it. And so it actually correlates to writing goals. So when I was writing my goals in 11th grade, as I said, I didn't know that I'm going to achieve them. But my long-term memory actually remembered it somehow and actually did them without even remembering that I wrote these kind of stuff. And so what's the next point after you write your goals? Actually start. For me, I feel like this is one of the hardest phases that we actually have to do, because most of our goals are not correlated to our career or, let's say, family-oriented things. So basically going to the gym or playing guitar, for example, or doing something other than your career, right? In my opinion, that career-oriented goals are more likely to be achievable because you're actually trying to do something. You're trying to get promoted, you're trying to make more money, for example. You're trying to get to higher positions, let's say. But what about our personal goals? Do you actually achieve them? Do you actually like even start them? That's the hard question. Most of you are thinking right now, okay, I'm always thinking about doing something, but I still haven't started it, right? And I'm actually here to tell you wait. Okay. Don't. This is slow. Procrastinate. That's my message from this. Okay, so the next point is, another story time. So this goes back to last year in 2021 in July, around July or August when I came back from the UK. 3 of my friends actually hit me up. They said, Muhammad, can you coach us in the gym? I said, okay, that's fine, let's do it. Because I've actually stopped for a whole year. And their goal was to actually lose weight. And my goal was actually to add weight. So we started going to the gym 5 to 6 times a week. And they started doing a really strict diet themselves. After 1 month, I was casually going to the gym. And then I didn't see them there. I called them, where are you guys? They told me, we are too tired today, we're going to come next time. And then next time came and they didn't come. And after a week, they just completely stopped coming. So when I was seeing them, I said, why don't you come? They said, we are too tired, class, we can't do this anymore. And do you know what I told them? I told them to keep it simple, stupid. Did anyone hear about this term before? Can you explain it for us?
Our teacher used to say kiss all the time. So
Yeah, I was afraid to say that. I don't want to go to jail.
so always keep it simple so you can keep on going. Don't complicate things.
Exactly. So keep it simple, stupid is actually introduced by the late Kelly Johnson. He was okay. It's so slow. He was the lead engineer at the Lockheed Skunk Works, and basically what it entails is, it was actually an engineering principle. It started off as that. It means that keep the simple as basic as possible. It follows the famous quote of Albert Einstein, which said, if you can't explain it to a 6 years old, you don't understand it yourself. But why is it related to goals? Basically, as Abdullah explained it, you can basically put it in anywhere in your life. So when I was telling them that, what I meant is, so bear in mind, this is the first time they start the gym, right? I told them, go 3 times a week, don't go 6 times a week. It's really hard for you at the start. They started doing a really strict diet, which they shouldn't have done. They should have just reduced their food intake, for example. And then maybe after that, they can progress to a harder variation of their diet, for example. And this goes to anything that you're doing, right? If you feel overwhelmed or if you feel that the goal is overwhelming or overcomplicating, just step back a little bit, see your whole process and see where you're at, where you started or where you're finished or where you're finishing, and where you actually are at. And if you feel like that phase is hard, just go back a little bit and start it again. Maybe then you'll be achieving better results. And so what's the last one? Be consistent. I mean, this is no-brainer. Obviously, be consistent with your goals. It's an easy thing to know, but it's an easy also thing to forget. Sometimes when you start something, you get burnt out after a while. And when that happens, you obviously stop doing what you're doing. But just look where you're at and where you started. You've really reached a really far place. Don't even think of stopping there. I feel like this is related to the previous one, which is keep it simple, stupid, because if you can't keep it simple, you're obviously not going to be consistent. Okay, so key takeaways. So write down your goals, actually start, keep it simple, stupid, and be consistent. I mean, is this the optimal path to actually achieve your goals? I don't think so. But for me, it worked really well. Probably 90% of the goals that I've wanted actually followed this path. And so, okay, and finally, I mean, if you've seen my title, it says goals are possible, but only sometimes. Why are they sometimes? I actually added this at the end. I didn't want to add this. Probably catfishing everyone here, but يعني. So, Rahma Adam actually gave me this idea. And I call them the three kings of hell. What are they? I don't know what I thought about this when I named them. I think it's just cool to name them that way. So it's doubt, fear, and comparison. I feel like if you put this in your life, you're not going to achieve anything. Or maybe you will, but you'll be scared to even start, which goes to the second point. So fear of failure, doubting yourself, and comparing yourself to someone that's actually achieving more than you on the goal that you're aiming at is something that's going to stop you from actually starting to do the thing. So sometimes are just these things, really. There is nothing much to it. And also I want to add something. Where's Fasil al-Dhahi? Is he here? Oh, he's in a meeting. Okay, I told him I'm going to mention him in this Rihal. Okay, so me and Fasil al-Dhahi, I think last week, the same as today, Monday, we were talking about something, and we were talking about Rihal talk. And he asked me, why is it on Monday? Why is it not on Tuesday? I said, it's fine, يعني, Monday is good. And he said, why is it on Monday? I thought Tuesday, like there is more people that are coming to Rihal talk. Why do you want less people? I said, it's fine. He said, are you scared? I said, no, I'm not scared. Well, I was really scared. I was actually scared to do this Rihal talk. The thing is, why am I mentioning this? Is because of the three things I just mentioned previously: fear of failure, what's it called? Fear of failure, doubt, and comparison. Well, I've fell into this trap for a very long time, and this is actually my first ever public speaking session, which I've done, which was a goal for me, يعني, for a very long time, but I've finally been able to do it, thanks to Rihal Talk. And I want to end it with this quote that I actually really admire, and it kept me going through the years. I actually read about it yesterday. So it says, what does it say? Okay, it says, be the person your younger self would look up to. Basically, make your young self or your old self be proud of your young self. Thank you for listening. My name is Muhammad. This is my Rihal Talk. If you have any questions, you may ask, يعني. My weight goal? 65. Adnan.
Out of all the topics that you could have spoken of, like, why did you specifically choose goals?
Well, because I achieved my goal by doing this first public speaking session. So I was actually, يعني, when I started doing I registered for Rihal Talk, I was actually aiming to do a public session, يعني, a solo public session, because I've done like with other people, like the open day, for example. And I thought, why wouldn't I do it about like achieving goals? Because I'm actually achieving one myself. So that's why I came up with this idea.
You're also following this quote, being the person you are.
Yes, I read about it yesterday. Don't worry about this.
You pushed really fast on the procrastination part. What does Muhammad do to avoid this?
Well, what can I tell you? I'm a procrastinator myself, but يعني, when I feel like something, يعني, there is a deadline that I have, it's something in me that I can work under pressure, right? So let's say, for example, I have a deadline after 1 month. I started يعني, a little bit when I'm at the beginning of the month, but يعني, the last 1 week and a half, I really push myself to finish it. So I can't say I actually, يعني, especially يعني, goals that are career-wise, I can't say I'm 100% not a procrastinator, but I'm trying to not be يعني.
So this is the thing, because we always say, I mean, it's good that you mentioned that, but for us, when you start work in something you started, then you leave it. When you are under pressure, I think we perform better. So procrastination is not always bad. Would you agree with that?
Procrastination is not always bad. It depends on the person. Some people cannot work under pressure. Some people panic when they are like near the deadlines. I know like personally I know some people that panic and they can't finish anything. And I know some people that can actually finish like a whole month work in one day. So it depends يعني on the person really. But sometimes it is bad and sometimes it is good. It depends يعني.
I have questions online. So the first question, is there a goal you failed to achieve and what did you do?
Is there a goal I failed to achieve? Yeah, I've failed many goals. But I always go back and start them again. For example, last year when I said I went with my friends to the gym, I actually يعني, I wanted to reach 65 kg, but I had like a torn, what's it called, shoulder. So I actually stopped until this year. That was a goal back then, which I failed because of يعني, a reason, not because I just stopped doing it. But now I'm back stronger يعني, inshallah. I'm trying to achieve it again.
Okay. The second question, do you have any tips for people who struggle with consistency?
Okay, so people that struggle with consistency, I'd like to tell them يعني, to keep it as simple as possible. As I said, it's the previous point. Because sometimes when we start a goal, we start really hard. We start doing whatever we can do to actually achieve it. But it's not the right path to do. يعني. Sometimes it's actually good to just lay back, stay back a little bit and start it slowly. Because at the end of the day, even if it takes longer, the results are going to be better.
Okay. The last question is how to come out of your comfort zone.
I just came out of my comfort zone.
How?
So as I said, fear of failure, basically, you just need to, what is it called? Challenge yourself. I mean, comfort zone is always going to be comfortable, right? You need to make yourself comfortable in the uncomfortable places, like especially for like public speaking for me, and for others maybe it's a different thing. يعني. Just put yourself there. Don't fear of failure, because you cannot be successful if you يعني, not failed, if you haven't failed in your life. Yeah.
Adnan?
Just want to add
Ahmed.
Shukran. Where's the mic exactly?
You just hold it like
Oh, all right. Okay. نسيت وش كنت أريد أقول. Yeah, so basically I just want to add one part to to the leaving your comfort zone. I've noticed in myself that in a lot of times I always preferred staying in my own bubble. And
Okay.
even the people around me, it's always about, just do what you're used to doing and خلاص, that's it.
Yeah.
But during the last 4 years, I've learned that experimenting and leaving your comfort zone, not just because you want to leave it, but because you keep on saying, no fear of failure. From personal experience, failure is not a bad thing. The only thing that can happen from failure is that you learn from your mistakes. That is number one. You learn where you went wrong, and then you can correct that. Whenever you fail in anything, you're going to always come up knowing better than before.
Yes.
And staying in your comfort zone, like you said, it's comfortable. You don't want to leave. It's like a warm bed during the winter or something.
Yes.
You can take it as that analogy. But the thing about it is that you grow into sticking to your habits and not wanting to leave that. The thing that a lot of people are comfortable with being in their comfort zone is that خلاص, it's something that you're used to. You don't want to change it. It's comfortable to you. But one thing I would advise anyone, especially the person who asked that question, is that think of this. What happens if you leave your comfort zone? What's the worst possible thing that can happen? It's a negative sounding question, but if you really think about it, بالفعل, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Exactly.
If anything happens, you're probably going to have a lot of fun doing whatever you want to do, and it's also going to be a learning experience for you. So I just wanted to add that.
That's true. That's absolutely right. يعني.
Owen, thank you for the session. I think it's a very
problem.
good session. Thank you. You mentioned three things: doubt, fear, and
Comparison.
comparison. I am frightened of failure, not just fear of failure. I'm frightened of failure. It's no secret that in many days I'm not able to sleep because there's so much doubt of what we need to do, how to move forward, and I am constantly comparing us to others. Constantly. This is a theme of how we do things here. While I do agree with the 3 points, I feel that it is a good thing to use this as a fuel for you to actually achieve your goals. So that's a point that I wanted to add.
Exactly. So when I mentioned them, I was actually referring to them before actually doing your goal. I mean, you're basically in the middle of what you're doing. It's true. So when you're middle of your goal, it's actually fear is a fuel to your success basically. But when before actually starting your goal, it can become an obstacle for you if you actually don't eliminate it and just start right away.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Hi, Mohammed. Thank you
Hi.
for an amazing session, first of all.
Thank you.
So my question was on the last part where you said that we should never compare ourselves to others, right? So I do agree on that, but the thing is that let's say a person, since their birth, so this idea of comparison, it comes from there. Like you're compared to your siblings, then when you go to your school, you are being compared to your,
Yes.
fellow classmates, and when you're working in a company, maybe you're compared to your colleagues.
Yes.
So how do you avoid that, that thinking of comparing yourself to others when you are being, that thinking has been
Compared.
instilled to your mind? So that's my question.
Okay, the brother asked a really good question. So what I failed to mention something. So comparison can happen. It's always there, right? It cannot be eliminated. What I mean by comparison is how can I say this? The unhealthy comparison. So there is a healthy one. There is an unhealthy one. Unhealthy one would be like, look at your cousin, for example. He's successful. Why are you not like him? Unhealthy one would be like, look at your cousin. He's successful. Why don't you become like him or even better? Something around that line. يعني. If you're being compared to someone in an unhealthy way, it's really hard to get out of it, especially if you're young, especially if you're a kid. But I feel like as an adult, we can program our minds or just eliminate that thing or just keep it away by either talking to our siblings or our family if they can encourage us on this thing that we're doing. And as Azan said, like even comparison can be seen as a fuel for you to achieve something. Yeah, that's my answer to it.
So talking about going outside your comfort zone, so I just want to go through your chain of thoughts when you jumped out of the window of an airplane.
That's a long story. so I was actually, when I did skydiving, I didn't do the tandem one. I was actually doing the license, and I jumped probably around 5 times. So it's a funny story. So we were walking to the airplane, and I said to myself, am I actually doing this? Because I'm afraid of heights. That's why I actually started doing it. And then the plane, they didn't close the what is it called? The door. It was open all the way. And the plane was going up, and I was seeing the houses, they are becoming smaller and smaller each time, and they just became like ants. I was like, oh, why did I do this? And there was 2 people in front of me. One people was Christian, he was doing all the cross and everything, and he said, tell my mom if I died. And I was reading every surah in Quran, and I was sitting, And then she said, you have to jump. I said, can't I just go down يعني, with the airplane? She said, no one can go down, you have to jump. So I closed my eyes and then she just pushed me like the instructor. I was alone, by the way. So the first يعني, 3 jumps, the parachute actually like opens by itself, and then they put you like in a higher altitude, and then you open it by yourself. So it's basically like a progression. But it was fun. So if anyone wants to do it, I encourage him. يعني. It's scary, but it's fun. يعني.
So do you think you'll do it again?
Yes, definitely.
We'll
I
talk
actually want to finish the license in
we'll
Dubai.
talk in
يعني.
5 years, inshallah.
Hopefully.
I did it 2013 and I don't want to do it again.
Oh, it's fun. يا أخي. But yeah, I mean, getting out of your comfort zone is not easy, but يعني, once you get used to that, it can be possible. يعني.
Great. Thank you very much, Mohammed, for the talk.
Thank
It
you.
was quite informative. So my question over here is that you mentioned the point of writing things down.
Mm.
So did you find that in the greater scheme of things, that things fell into place for you, or were you actually actively pushing for things to happen?
It depends on what I mentioned. So let's say, for example, the first thing was I wanted in computer science was also by luck because it was my first choice. Coming here to Rihal was by coincidence. I found the ad on Instagram actually. It was at the time where there was that OCR challenge, if anyone remembers it. And yeah, I did it, and I was actually scared that I'm not gonna get accepted because I thought maybe it's a lie, you know. Why is it so easy يا أخي to do this? There is something wrong in this. But I actually submitted it, and literally 2 days after, they responded. So yeah, and there is also other goals that I've actually wrote and achieved. But يعني, this is my most honorable mention because actually all of them يعني, get achieved.
Thank you.
I have a question online. What if my younger self, this is responding to the quote you put, so
Okay.
what if my younger self was different and wanted to become someone not that ideal?
That's a hard question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Shahnawaz, for the hard question.
I mean, how many years is the gap? Well, يعني it depends. Are you looking up into yourself, like, are you proud of where you reached, or are you not proud where have you become? Because many people, like, let's say for example, many people I know have studied something and they worked at something else, and they're actually comfortable with the things they're doing. It actually depends. يعني. I mean, it's never too late unless you're 90 years old. يعني. But no, it's never too late, in my opinion. Yes, Ahmed.
I'd like to add to this. You are your younger self right now, so you're working in the present.
Yes.
So you would look up into the future, so that's how it works, not comparing with the past.
Be the person your younger self. Yeah, what I'm basically intending here is basically if you're old enough, يعني, if you became old. I mean, all of us are young, يعني, it's a young company, but no. I'm still proud of my younger self, which is in high school and elementary, although I didn't do much then. But يعني, yeah, it's something for the future, something to keep in mind. Be the person your younger self would look up to is basically saying that achieve the goals that يعني, you're going to be proud of in the future. But yeah. Anyone else or خلاص? Yeah, I was like, where is he? Okay, if no one else is asking, خلاص. Thank you for listening يعني, and attending my session.